I will record this. So now were you all, so today what we're primarily going to cover is more or less a recap of the first leveraging. So the filters and seeing who has actually implemented and started utilizing the filters and how they're finding it, as well as kind of going over things that there may be a little bit of uncertainty with, needless to say. So we're just letting, it's just 4 o'clock now. I'm seeing that there's still a couple of people rolling in and what have you. I am going to give the privilege for people to talk. So I'm going to allow to talk. I'm finding that some have a harder time when you're just having to always type your questions, just depending on what they are, especially when we're going over follow-up filters. It can definitely get complicated, or questions are not as easy to answer or get your words right. I do request, though, that you guys keep yourself on mute unless you're going to ask a question. And if you raise your hand, then I know you want to speak. Okay, just so we all have background noise. I do apologize if you hear any of my background noise in advance. So I'm just giving you guys all the ability now, but as I said, if you just keep yourself on mute until you need to speak. So for those of you that are in here, again, just to kind of recap for the ones that just popped into the session here. So today we are reviewing the filters, essentially. So going over that, it's kind of a recap, see who's actually gone ahead and attempted to build those filters or had somebody help them build those filters, and who's actually utilizing and how they're finding them. So is anyone in here, did anyone in here from that first session start using those filters? You guys can simply just raise your hand, or you just use the chat and just type yes, yes, no, no, try, didn't try, whatever it is. I'm finding from the first session that a lot of y'all are taking it in, but not necessarily applying what you're learning. So I'm just curious who's actually applying what they're learning, or who's just taking it all in. So is anyone in here? And you can use the chat, as I mentioned, just to reply yes, yes, no. Is anyone using the filter? So has anyone started using even just your basic, so the number 1 and number 2, disregard these two. The number 1 is 0 calls logged, and the number 2 need to contact, which should essentially be in your system already. Have any of you guys actually started using the filters and seeing how they're assisting you with the leads and the information in your system? No one's using the filters. Does anyone need a recap on those filters and understanding them? Did anyone not hit the first webinar and is kind of like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now?
That would be me. I didn't know that. I thought this was the first seminar. Like, I'm new.
No,
really
yeah,
new.
this is like, yeah, so this is the third one. So this is recapping the first one that we had, which is all about filters. And Erica's also saying she's new, so okay, perfect. A recap will help. So perfect. So we'll go over a recap. I'm not going to go into full detail as to how we would build these right from scratch. But just to give you all a general idea on how you would build the filter and then save it. Okay, so, and we're talking your applied save filters right here, which we'll review in just a moment. So when you are wanting to create a save filter, and where this is really beneficial is you're not having to do it every time, right? You have your specific audiences, and you can target those specific audiences for various things, whether they're leads you're just trying to get a hold of, or maybe it's a certain, audience with respect to the type of home or the type of buyer or seller that they are, and you want to really target your marketing efforts towards them. So simply adding filters. So you can stack filters. You can stack as many filters as you want to really create a predefined audience for yourself. So when you're going to save a filter, you're just selecting it. So I'll just kind of create that first filter where it's number of calls, and then you change the middle one, and then you go 0 because the number of calls is 0. And then your second one would be the phone validity, which is unknown or valid. And then the The next one is pipeline, and we're going to keep it on is, and then not set new lead tried to contact. So we would remove this one. Now, if I wanted to save this filter, I would give it a filter name right here. So whatever you want to call it, you'll be able to see mine in a moment. It's really what is going to be best utilized by yourself and help you understand what this filter actually is. So giving it a name here. You have two options for many of you. Some of you will only see one option. So if you see two options, that means that you're either the main account holder, this is your account, or you're a sub-user that has admin rights. So you're admin on the team, or one of the head, or you're working in partnership with someone. Those that have admin rights have the ability to create both company and personal filters. So a company filter is a filter that is visible by everyone within your organization. So any user account in your system would have access to any company filters you save. So when we are creating save filters for you, we always create them as company filters, just even if you are a solo agent, just in the fact that what if you do grow and you now want your agents to use these filters, you have the ability to get them using those filters. Now, if you see the personal filter, that's exactly that. It's personal to the specific user account that is creating that filter. So even if I was an admin and I jumped into my system, I wouldn't be able to see any of my sub-users' personal filters unless I logged into their account specifically. So once you save it, so you give it a name and you click either or, and then you would see it in your list. So you'd see your company filters here, and then any personal filters would show up down in the personal filters section. So that's essentially how you would build out your filters. I can also, consistent with the first recording that did go out, I sent instructions on building these through our training website. So if you can watch this, but it's sometimes hard when you're watching and pausing and trying to implement. I get it. If you need help building filters, your trainer, if you have an assigned trainer, can definitely assist you with that. If you've only had the first training, go ahead and book a second training. Most of you that are new are put on a training campaign with emails that are coming from your trainer. And in those emails, there's always an option to book additional training, whether it says book CRM training or book an advisory call that is connected to your trainer. So you can book as often as you like. We really want you to succeed at the end of the day. So I'll send out all that stuff so that you can follow, or you can have help and having someone helping you build it. If you're brand spanking new as of today, which I imagine many of you probably are not purchased today and already on a webinar, but those that are brand new, they won't have to worry because we just implemented a new feature as of today for a new account to already have all the save filters in there. So the first filter, and I'm just going to delete these ones just because I was showing as an example. That's not what I wanted to do. If you ever want to delete, so in this case, I created this just to show people how you can segregate stuff in their earlier session. You can just delete it. So if you go delete, it deletes it from your list. So if you ever make something and it's by accident, or you duplicated something and you don't want that save filter anymore, you just click the X next to the create company, and then it'll delete that filter for you. So here we have, in order, your 1, 2, and 3. The 4 is optional. This is really if you don't want to call people frequently that you've already tried calling at least 8 times. We didn't really cover that one in this session. So this one is where you would start your day. 1,000%. You would essentially, you can click this as a save default if you wanted to. This should be in all of your systems. So anyone new, we would have set it up for you. Anyone that's had training, we would have set it up for you. So if you want it that every time you log into your CRM, it's just automatically pulling up this filter, you just click this button right here, and that sets it as your default filter. So every time you log in, it's already showing you this list. So what this list is exactly what it says. It's your new leads that you've logged 0 calls on. So with this filter, again, it was the number of calls is equal to 0. It's a call list, so we potentially only want good numbers in this list. We don't want to include people that have given us bad numbers or we've marked it as invalid. We can't call them. And then the pipeline is indicating that we have not made contact with these people yet. So we're still in they're either new, we have not tried calling them, we have not connected, the text might have gone out, but they haven't responded, and so on and so forth. So this list right now in this CRM is at 82. So 82 people, this is a training CRM. So the numbers are not updated regularly, or the activity, I should say. So 82 people. If this was my CRM and I was calling and tackling this list, the most I would call in one day would be 30. So I would do anywhere between 15 to 30 leads a day off of this list, bringing it down to 0. And then ultimately you want to keep this list at 0. That's your goal, is to keep this at 0, because really at the end of the day, we don't want any of our leads going uncalled if we have the opportunity to call them. So to log your call, essentially, the best bet is through the dialer. I always encourage it. It speeds up your call times. It's more efficient, and things get logged for you automatically. We don't get any kind of kickback or anything like that through Twilio. It's just, hands down. If you want to get in and get out, Twilio is your best friend. If you want to not use Twilio, it's a preference thing. Not everyone wants to use that. You do have the ability to still log your notes and calls here. Okay, so you can set the date and time. You can backdate calls. So if you know that call happened, but it was previous, you can backdate it here. And then of course you have your call result. So just if I log a call on this lead right now, just manually here saying no message left, and I save it, you're going to see that we go from 82 leads to, if I go back to the home page, she's going to fall off this list. So we're going to have 81 leads in this list, because just by me logging a call on her, she no longer matches this qualification of having 0 calls on her. If I'm going through this list and I happen to see, let's say, I'm just going to put this one as it's an invalid number. If I refresh this list, we're going to be at 80 leads in this list, because now that lead didn't meet the qualifier of having a valid phone number. Okay, so this is also why, if you have a trainer or we're working with you, why we really push the logging of stuff. And as long as you're logging stuff, the system will produce for you what to do and when. I find those who are struggling the most are saying this isn't working, we're having a really hard time, we've been at this for so long and we've got all these leads. The first thing I notice in any system that tells me that is nothing's being logged. So we all give ourselves so much credit when it comes to memory, but the reality is our memory fails us every single day, right? Most of us can't even remember what we had for lunch yesterday. So, trying to remember activities and behaviors for hundreds of leads or hundreds of people is near impossible. So that's where logging is really going to be super beneficial for you in the long scheme of things. So when you have your list here, again, you would tackle 15 to 30 a day. If you're already at 0, amazing, you're ahead of the game. Just keeping it that, because, and the reason why I say 15 to 30 is your second filter is compounding, right? Because when we call these people, not everyone's going to answer. Some will answer, we'll have a conversation. Some won't answer. So the ones that don't answer, we have to keep calling them in an attempt to get them on the phone. And that's where your second filter comes into play here. So this filter here, we're just from that number 1 filter, all you're doing is switching this to equal to or greater than and changing it from a 0 to a 1. And then you're adding the was not contacted by phone. And then this one here is all leads within the last number of days. And then you just go 2. And that's this filter. So what this list is producing is all my leads that I've called at least one time that I still haven't made contact with. And we should be calling them, according to this filter, every 2 days. So the goal to this is being consistent with what you're doing. And this is partially the every 2 days is also why in the number 1 filter, you wouldn't want to call all 80 of those people. Because today I might have time to call 80 people, and 2 days from now, or 4 days from now, or 6 days from now, I might not have the same time to be calling 80 people, right? So it's taking things in bite-sized pieces if any of you guys are playing catch up in your system, it will be call heavy for about 2 weeks because you're literally playing catch up. But once you get everything, in position where you essentially want it to be, your number 1 and number 2 filter will likely just be leads that have registered in the last couple of weeks. So you'll be in and out of both of those filters within 30 minutes. So this filter here, you can power dial almost through your leads because you've already tried them the first call, they didn't answer. The first call, I suggest let it hit the voicemail, see if the name matches. Essentially, you're just making sure it's not a bad phone number. So by the second call, it's not a bad phone number, so we don't need to let it ring as long. So with these ones, this is also where your dialer is efficient because you're going to only let it ring for 23 to 25 seconds at most. That's going to be 4 to 5 rings on the receiving end. If they don't answer, you hang up, save your call. It's going to default to no message left, and then you would just simply click on to the next lead. So it really allows you to power dial through it. So if I take this lead, for example, Adna, let's say I just log a call here. She didn't answer again. She's going to essentially fall off this list. So we've got 12 leads in this list. It's going to drop to 11. So just by me calling Adna or logging that call on Adna, Adna has now fallen off this list, and she's going to automatically be here again in 2 days from now for me to try her again. I'm going to call her again, and then she'll fall off and then reappear again if she doesn't answer. So the key is consistency. For not leaving messages, this creates curiosity on the other end. Just imagine yourself. You keep seeing the leads popping up, the phone number keeps popping up on your call display. You can't figure out who it is. You essentially will answer just out of sheer curiosity. You got to figure out who it is on the other end. So again, 15 to 30 or however many are in your list, just depends on where you guys and what your CRMs look like. And then number 2, your goal would be essentially to clear out this list every single day. Now, for some of you, you may have a whopping amount of leads in that filter. So what you can do is use the sort and sort it to last activity. That way, if you're just going to conquer as many calls as you have time to today, you're looking at the leads that were most recently active first, and you're hammering out those calls first, and then kind of dwindling down to the ones that are less active. Does anyone have any questions about the number 1 and number 2 filter? Nope, we're good. Perfecto. So now we're going to move into our number 3 filter, because again, we're trying to make contact with these people. So with this filter here, our pipeline is indicating that we've essentially made contact or moved them further through the pipeline up into sold. So we're not including anyone that we sold in this filter, but we've definitely made contact or moved them further along. The activity of these leads, so the last activity is all the leads within the last 30 days. So again, it's that same all leads within the last number of days, and then it would be 30. We're also going to add the component of the tag and does not have selected tags. And you would do your check-in filters, which we'll discuss in just a moment. These are the people essentially that you've made contact with, that have been active, but you haven't got enough information from them just yet to know where to put them on the shelf. Like, when should I be following up with this person? So we really want to make sure when we're talking to people that we are getting those timelines. It's crucial that you get those timelines. It's going to allow you to understand how to effectively follow up with somebody. And it's also going to prevent you from being too salesy when you're not actually intending to. Without asking when somebody's trying to make when they plan on moving, but you're like, hey, do you want to go look at houses this weekend? Like, I've seen a couple that fall in your criteria. They're gonna be like, dude, like, I'm a year out from making a move. No, I don't want to go look at houses, but it can come across as if you're being pushy. But reality is we just didn't ask the question of when they plan on moving, right? So it's going to help you in so many ways, is always get the timeline. It's one of the most important pieces of your puzzle. It's also one of the pieces that's often missed, or it's just not documented in the systems when I'm looking at them. So ultimately you want this list empty, okay? Because we want to be putting your leads on check-in filter shelves. So how you would do that is basically by adding the tags. So you can add tags by just simply going add new tag down here, and a little pop-up comes, and you can give it a tag color and give it a name. I put asterisks. I don't know what just happened there. I put asterisks in front because this is in alphabetical order. Okay, so that will put all my check-ins right at the top. Tags are definitely a habit, and it's a good habit to get into. Is when you have a conversation, it's just like, I got to do something with a tag. There's always a tag associated with a call. So you have weekly check-ins, a 2-week check-in, a monthly check-in, quarterly check-in, and a 6-month check-in. These are just the standard out-of-the-box check-ins. You can add more if you really want to. So weekly check-ins are definitely your hot to trot leads. They're typically, planning to move sometime within the next few months. We want to be following up with them weekly. Your follow-ups are never a push to sale until you know that it's time, the time is right. Right. So a lot of the time it's just a courtesy call. Hey, Crystal, just making sure that everything's still good with the listings you received this week. Have you seen anything that I can get more information for you about? Right. Anything like that. So it's not trying to push them into anything they're not ready. It's just really letting them know that you're there whenever they're ready. And always just use your best judgment on your check-in, whatever feels right for you based on your conversation. So when I'm saying timelines, it's just, generalized. Do what you feel is best. So 1 week check-ins, 0 to 3 months transaction. 2 weeks are typically 3 to 6. 1 month are 6 to 12 months out. Quarterly would be 12 to 18 months. And then the 6 month would be the people that are like a year and a half plus out from making a move. So just by adding a tag to somebody after you called them, if I go done, this list is going to update. You're going to notice I only have 1 lead left in here because I just threw a tag on somebody. So always put in your notes, your timelines as well. So you do have this lead description right here. This is a great place to put important details about your lead when you are having conversations with them, or even through text, like update the lead description, because you don't want to be going through and browsing through all your text messages to find information. Put the important information here. It's right here. It's the information you're going to refer to each time you're essentially talking to somebody. It's going to make your follow-ups that much more powerful, because it's going to seem like you were really listening and really, really care about what they had to say. Right? You're going to be able to reuse past conversations in your conversation currently, and people are impressed that you actually remembered that. You're not calling them and sounding like you've never spoken to them in the past, right? So it just makes it a little bit more personalized when you are reaching out to them. So that's that lead description there. So the leads that are in your number 3 filter here, really you want these to be the leads that you've made contact with them, but again, we haven't had either a phone call. So maybe there's just been text community, maybe they responded to some text messages, but we didn't determine timeline through those text messages. They would be in here for you to call and try to get them on the phone to have a good conversation with them. Now, when building this filter, you would add the component tag, does not have, and then you would select all your check-in tags, because anyone that we throw a tag for check-in, we want them off this list. We want them, we now know when we're supposed to be following up with them. Sherry is asking how to set up a filter as a phone number. Someone called, did not leave a message, or can't hear them clearly their name, want to search on Locator to find out who called. I will show you that in just a moment. All right, Sherry. It's not as complicated. Actually, you can just search right here. So it's right here. You can put anything in here. So let's say, well, it's not going to work. So let me go is not on this one here, just to kind of show you guys. And this could be on the main page, could be on any page. So let's just pick Jason's last 4 digits. So if a number pops up on your call display, look for the last 4 digits. And then what was it? 4176. So I'm just going to go 4176 and apply this filter. And, oh, sorry, I got to search that first. There we go. So now there's 2 leads in here. So you would essentially go, the number up here and search, not apply, my apologies, up here and go search. It's going to keep this same filter, but we're only showing now anyone that has that number combination in there. Okay, so if you have a list, so some of you might have a lot of leads in your system, you're always looking for the last 4 digits of what matches based on that number combination. So hopefully that helps you out there, Sherry, in finding them. We do have, yeah, so Georgiana is asking about the 1-week checkup. Do you have to put a task so it shows up on your calendar email? Well, there's 2 options here, and that's what we're about to just dive into. So once you've got this list, essentially you would build out your check-in filters. So to do your follow-ups, some people do tasks by all means. If you are good at tasking and pushing tasks, by all means, but you want to go light with your tasks. And the reason I say that is I was guilty of it. I can be 100% honest with you. I tasked everything. And what ultimately happened was the important tasks got mixed up with the not so important tasks. But because there were so many tasks in there, you start to overlook the tasks. You start to overlook any kind of notification because it's so overwhelming. So use tasks sparingly for important tasks, things that you for sure can't forget about. Otherwise, use your filters. So you have your check-in filters. So you have your 1-week check-ins. These ones are easy to build out because really once you have the first one created, you're just changing the 1 to a 2, changing the tag, and changing the number of days. So this one here, for example, is they have to have the tag 1-week check-in. So once you tag them 1-week check-in, and then was not contacted by phone or SMS, and it's all, again, it's that all leads within the last number of days, and you would go 7. So anyone that has that 1-week check-in on them would automatically populate in here every 7 days. When they're in here in the 7 days, the moment you log a call, whether you talk to them or not, or shoot them a text message, they fall off of this list and reappear again 7 days from now. And so when you go into your number 2, it's the same idea. You can build your however you want to. The 2-week check one, you can put it right at 14. I tend to build them sometimes at 17 days because it's kind of right smack between the 2 to 3 mark. A lot of people do build it at the 14. So it's entirely up to you as to preference. So same idea here, you can see where I just changed the tag to the 2-week and changed the number here. Where you'll notice a difference is once you get into the monthly filters and we remove the text, the SMS field. In personal opinion, again, everyone to their own and do what you feel is best, is if we're not reaching out or talking to someone for a month, or like 3 months, we should be essentially picking up the phone, okay? So in this list, you can see we've got 5 people in this list that have that monthly check-in on them. So if we were to call, and I'm just gonna show you an example. So, and this is where you may want to double up with tasks as well. So putting both the tags and the tasks. So let's say I spoke to Adna and it was just such a great conversation. We hit it off. I feel like, all I have to do is really, really stay on top with my follow-ups with this person, be great at my customer service. It's a for sure opportunity, for sure deal. That's where you may want to double up with a task, put the tag and a task on them, just so you know that Adna does not slip through the cracks whatsoever. You've got 2 ways of making sure that doesn't happen. Now, where you may also have is tasking is, let's say I spoke or I tried to reach Adna and Adna did not answer. So in that case, for any of the monthly, quarterly, 6 months, any of those, what I would do with those individuals, again, leave them a message, just letting them know, just checking in on you, follow up a task or a text message, just saying, hey, and I just sent you a message, just want to make sure things are still going good with your home search. Let me know if there's any, changes or adjustments or things that I can make for you, whatever it is, right? So you can shoot that off right away. Now, because you don't know if Adna is going to respond to you, or maybe you just really want to have a conversation or just a quick check and quick chat with her. What you can do is task at that point if she didn't answer, and just have a follow-up re-check-in or whatever you want to call it, and make it for like a week from that day. So then it goes from being monthly to I'm going to keep following up every week until she answers, until we actually speak on the phone. So here you have your follow-up. So let's say you created this, you can just push it. So let's say today was the 23rd and I did that, it was the next week after my initial month check-in. I could then push this out and say, you know what, I'm going to, push it out again 7 days because she didn't answer again. So hopefully that makes sense to you. You have another option is when you essentially double tag them. So if you double tag a lead, so let's say you have the monthly, that's her standard tag, then you double tag her with a weekly check-in. That way she's going to she's going to fall into the 1 week check-in filter as well as the monthly filter. So even though we logged a call on her today or sent a text message, she's automatically going to reappear in your 1 week check-in filter. Probably tomorrow, I think, is when just kind of looking at things, she would automatically fall into that filter. So let's see if there's a lead in here where I haven't reached out to. I think a lot of them have been reached out to because of campaigns and mass things. So let's see if there's one. No, they're all in here. So let me just go into my made contact and put a monthly check-in on somebody. No, that's not what I wanted. So this one here, 4 hours ago. So let's go is not active. I'll find someone from this list. So you can always flip your activity to is not on your made contact people. This would be if you're all caught up in your system and you're trying to stir the pot. You made contact with them a while back, but they haven't been active. We haven't put them on a proper follow-up. You can see I sent a mass something out. Like so many people got assigned to a campaign that it's not going to work. Okay, I know what'll work. I'm just going to modify this one here. I'm going to change it to 6 days. There we go. It's just a text that I was sent out 7 days or no one was pulling in here. So now those leads that have the double tags, this one here has the 1 month check-in, right? But also the 1 week. So she's falling into this list. So again, if I call her text, she'll fall off this list and keep reappearing into this list every week until we take that 1 week check-in tag off her. So when she does answer the phone and you have that conversation, it's adjusting the tags. So tags is a habit. It's a good habit to get into. So just remember every time you talk to somebody, what tags can I put on them to help me pull and identify who they are or follow up with them? So because even if you're using the monthly check-in and maybe you got a hold of her, maybe she needs to be taken off both the monthly and the weekly and moved on to the 2 weeks. She's that much closer to making a move that we should probably follow up with her every couple of weeks. Right? So it's just learning to move your filters and your tags around essentially. So Sherry is asking, does the system notify me to call any tasks due or have to log in every day to do a filter or find out the task today? You have to log in. You should be making it a habit, a daily habit to log in to here and action your stuff. It's when we don't log into something and then all of a sudden you log in, you're like, oh, this is overwhelming. Look at all the stuff I have to do. So try to make it a daily habit of logging in. So your tasks, you can get like an email telling you of your tasks. There's a couple things you can do with your tasks. So your tasks, there is a calendar here, which you'll be able to see all your tasks on that day. So you can have a habit of opening up the calendar. If you guys are Google users or have G Suite, you can click under the user preference here and you will see an integrations tab. You can integrate with Google. So if you create a task in your Google Calendar or create a task in the CRM system, it will automatically create an event in your Google Calendar. And that event will also include the link for that lead. So let me just show you what that actually looks like in here. This is a lot of people's calendar. I am not this crazy. But you have this check-in call, for example. So these are check-in calls that we do on our training customer clients. So here it'll also give you a link right into the lead. So if I was to click on it, it'll open up that lead in the CRM system. Okay, so it's really handy if you're on the go. Google, often if you guys use your online calendars, it sends you push notifications. So 10 minutes by default, I think, it sends you that notification, the task due, and you can open up that link on the go and still hit and dial the lead right from the CRM on your cell phone. So it's really handy feature that way to do it that way. You guys also have the task overview section. So if you click on the task overview, I was like, did I push it? It's going to show you, essentially, you can filter through all of your tasks, whether they're due, like, so it'll default on today and overdue. So you can see how, if you're tasking everything, this is a training one, but you should see my other one. You'll have like a large amount of tasks. And again, they just start to become redundant. Yes, you can get emails regularly, but again, if you start tasking everything, you start to overlook those emails because you're just getting so many of them that they turn into almost spam for you. Now in here, you can change what the time frame of tasking. So if you want to look to see what your tasks are for the next 7 days, you can definitely do that. You can also, do I have any? So there's 3 tasks in there. You can also search for tasks by keywords. So if you know you use a specific keyword, generally for certain types of things, you can filter that out. So let's say I wanted to pull this one where it's a call. I would just type call here, and then it's going to filter out to show me just the tasks that have that as a keyword, which is that one there. And then if you had any content associated, like the notes associated with what that task is, it will give you, when you hover over it, it gives you that little bit of a breakdown there. And that's about it. So it's really about tasking when necessary. Don't want to overtask. I always say tasks are for very important people or situations where you can't use filters, because there is some. What's really great about these filters here, and what I enjoy about them, is there's nothing to do with activity, right? We don't care if they're active at this point. We're just being customer service oriented. So when you're looking at somebody that might be in your 6-month check-in, they're not necessarily going to be active because these people are 1.5 years to 2 years out, right? So if you're using other filters and activity, they may essentially fall off your radar otherwise. So at least in here, they'll populate 6 months time. I'm just going to keep following up with them, seeing how they're making out, so on and so forth. So it's that's what I really enjoy about these ones, is we're not singling out people based on activity. Now, your check-in filters should only be people that we have made contact with or moved further through the pipeline. Typically, if we've moved them further through the pipeline, we may not need check-ins. At some point, if we're out showing them homes, you're probably in regular communication with them anyway, but not people that are in try to contact or anything like that. Those are already in these filters right here for year 1 and 2. When you guys are creating any safe filters in here, you can organize. So I know there's some people, like especially some of our clients that have been with us for quite some time. I noticed that a lot of people will start creating filters and filters and filters, and they have so many filters, and they don't even know what's what, and they have many duplicate filters because they recreate them. Not intentionally, of course. So by adding like the special character before, it will also help to organize any kind of categories. Like these are, your first initial category, and then I put asterisks for the follow-ups, the check-ins, so that they're in their own category. So it's similar to like your keyboard as to, the sort order. So if I was to start creating filters right now with an exclamation mark, for example, they would actually show above these number sign ones, because the exclamation mark shows before the number sign or the pound sign on the keyboard. So you can really kind of group different filters together and so on. Any questions about your filters so far, like with what we're covering? I know it can be tricky to engage, like to kind of wrap your brain around. This is where 1000%. A lot of y'all take it in, start applying it. Once you start applying it, that's when you start to have those aha moments. I can see this working. Again, if you guys, this is overwhelming, because I can imagine it is overwhelming for many, many people. Reach out to myself or reach out to your trainer. We'll get you, situated, get you on a training. We can help build these filters and kind of walk you through it with your system. That way you have a better understanding and you're getting to see in real life how this is actually working. I know that many, once we've applied it and they've got a bunch of leads and they're just feeling unorganized and overwhelmed, they're just feeling a lot more confident. Things are now in bite-sized pieces. It's not just like pages of leads and so on and so forth. So any questions surrounding these safe filters that we've just gone ahead and created or reviewed, I should say, for the tags? The tag will be the tricky one. Get into that habit of using tags. No questions about that? All righty. So that's really kind of the review of things. Now, off of, whether it's these safe filters or any kind of filter or anything, does anyone have any questions or they're struggling on how to do something when it comes to finding specific people in their system? Is there any specific audiences you guys are trying to find or how to find them? No? All right, I'll go over a couple that you may find beneficial in here. So just a couple, I guess, solutions for yourself. So you do have this option right here as well, where you can sort. So this is the sort feature. You also can change the sort from here as well. So by default, it's always at date created. So your newest lead is always showing at the top of this list. So if we change this, let's say to last activity, I'm choosing here to show most recent first. It's switching the list and flipping it regardless of when somebody registered to show me the most recent active lead at the top. Okay, so these could be leads that and some of you may do this, and some of you that have been with us for a while can do this. And I've definitely jumped into trainings not that long ago where I did it, and they've got leads from like 2016, 2018 that are the most recent active leads. And I said, those are the bread and butter right there. Those are the leads that they're more willing to talk to you. They haven't been bombarded left, right, and center with phone calls because they registered recently all over the place. And so there's that added benefit of them. They've also been in that incubation period for quite some time, right? So it can take leads anywhere, 6 to 24 plus months to actually transact. It really depends on the lead themselves, where they're at in the process, and what they need to do in order to get to where they need to be. Like how much money do they need to save for a down payment? How long is that going to take, and so on. So your older leads are often the more viable ones where they're getting that much closer to actually being able to move forward with a transaction. So the last activity will automatically sort regardless of when somebody registered. Now, if you wanted to target older leads that are active, some of you I know, it's stirring the pot at the end of the day. So you can add the filter of registration if you want to. So you can pull up leads based on when they register. So if I wanted to pull up everyone that registered last year as an example, I can do that. So I've got 117 leads that registered last year. And it's still sorted at last activity. So this is the lead that was most recently active in the system. So again, regardless of when people, so this person here was active 8 months ago, but they registered in January versus this lead registered sooner than that person, but is less active. So it just allows you to sort that way as well. So that's a good feature if you're trying to pull people and sort through them. You can even add filters like, I want to pull the people that registered last year, but let's say I still haven't made contact with them and they haven't been active. So again, there's a lot of different things that you can do and filters you can use to help find those audiences for yourself. One cool one that you will have is when you have a listing. So you have a buying city, buying home type, buying home price. So if you want to be able to pull leads in your system based on where they're buying. So maybe you're going either on a listing presentation, or maybe you landed the listing. You want to share it to the people that are most likely to be interested in it. So let's say we have the buying city. Let's say I landed a property in Mississauga. I'm going to apply it. And out of my 214 leads, 16 of them actually have their searches. So the searches of the daily listings set up to receive listings in Mississauga. Now they can be receiving listings in Mississauga, Brampton, Toronto, but they at least have Mississauga as part of that criteria. Now let's pretend there's a property type, right? Because, you know, if I'm selling a condo and you're looking for a detached home, you probably don't care about my condo listing, right? So I want to then perhaps look for anyone that's looking for any type of condo in here. Probably not detached, but usually it's condo apartments. There's the odd time that they come in as that. So let's just say we apply filters to know 8 of those 16. So half of them, we cut this list in half, and only 8 of these people are actually looking for a condo based on their criteria and the listings that they're receiving. You could then even, you know, be specific with prices. So let's say, you know, the buying home price is right here. You can do a range. You can do equal to or greater than or equal to or less than. So let's say my listing was priced at, I don't know, 750,000. So I'm going to say anyone that is looking at, you know, let's say 780,000 and lower. That's all of them. So basically all of them are in that price point. So it doesn't really help us. Let's say if we go anything higher than 780,000, probably not a lot. So there's 5. So we dropped one of them. So all of them are looking for listings above 700. Their criteria warrants it. So even though the minimum is 650 on this one, the maximum is 1.3, which would be higher than 780,000. Okay, so you can do the range where their criteria falls somewhere in that range. It just really depends. You can just keep it simple and just say everyone that's looking at a condo. It just shows that you're really focused on the condo market. And it really depends, right? So you can, this is a great one if you have new listings, or perhaps you're doing an open house. I don't know if you guys are doing those right now, or they're more virtual, or probably not going to be able to do them soon. Again, sadly enough. But here is what, you know, would be a great way to market and advertise to those. These are the people that would be most interested in that actual listing. Those are, you know, 2 primary. Is there any filter? Like I said, is there anything, these guys, this is an open Q&A right now. So if you guys have any questions, we've got about 15, 20 minutes to go over those questions.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Most of the leads that I get, they come, you know, late at night, you know, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And I don't think that's the right time to contact them, right?
No, I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't personally.
But is it sort of normal to get the leads like late at night? Like, you know, I would say 70% of my leads are like, you know, at times when I cannot call them.
No, and it is normal. You can definitely have our marketing team if you want your ads only to run during specific hours, because you want to be able to call them right away. That's entirely up to you if you want to do that. Keep in mind that a lot of us work standard 9 to 5, right? And then we go home, we make dinner, we have families, do whatever. And some of us, we do things at all different times of the day. We don't all work on the same time schedule, right? So it's those people that are coming in late, that might be the first time that they actually can, you know, look at listings, or they work shift work. Maybe they just got off work at, you know, 9:30 or 10 at night, right? And then they go home. So it's normal that they come in at all different times. You'll get leads that come in at like middle of the night, but you don't know, like maybe they're graveyard workers, maybe they're a security guard somewhere, like, and they're sitting at a desk in the middle of the night, and they're just finding things, you know, they're doing things while they're sitting there. Obviously you're not going to call them, I encourage you call your leads at your best and earliest opportunity to do so. But yeah, probably not at 11 o'clock at night is warranted at that point.
Sure. And
Yeah.
there's a follow-up question. So what
Mhm.
is the best time to call them, and what is the best day of the week to call them? Like, do you have like any?
Your best days are typically Thursdays, Wednesday and Thursdays.
Mhm.
Fridays aren't as great at the end of the week, right? So yes, Wednesdays and Thursdays are generally your better days. The time of day that you're calling really varies. One of the things that we do encourage is not calling your lead your leads at the same time every day. So if and I've noticed this in accounts for some people, they have like, it looks like their leads they're generally being contacted between 11 a.m. and 2 or 3 at the latest, kind of thing. There's a good chunk of your leads during that window that simply cannot take a call during those hours. It's not that they don't want to talk to you, it's that they simply can't take a call. So always switching up from morning, afternoon, evening. So you can try to catch people in commute times and lunch breaks, right? So whether you're comfortable calling people at 8:30 in the morning while they're still potentially on their way to work, stuck in traffic, you can definitely call them between 11 and 2. And then commute times home, so between 4 and 6 or 4 and 7 when you're catching people on their way home as well. So those are, but it's switching it up, right? So when you look into your system and you're seeing, so all of you can see in your system, there's a time that they're registering at. Look at that. You're going to recognize that people register all over the place, all different times of the day. It just goes to show that we all have our availability and the times that we can do these things are at all different times. So we should be calling at all different times as well. It's going to open up the opportunity. But if you're always calling at, let's say hypothetically, I went to the gym every day from 11 to 1, and every day you did your calls from 10 to noon, the chances of you getting me on the phone ever are really slim to none, because you're often calling at a time that it's not that I don't want to talk to you, it's just I'm not available to take a call from you.
Mhm. And what
Right,
about
so-
weekend?
Weekend, you can definitely. I would probably stay away from Sundays, but weekends, absolutely. A lot of realtors going to stop calling on weekends. They're going to try to keep their work Monday to Friday, but by all means, call on the weekends. It's just, be respective times. Like I wouldn't call too early in the morning. I'd say probably 10 or later, kind of thing. But by all
Right.
means, you're catching people when they're, it's this time of year is really busy. Raman has a question. Yes, Raman.
Yes, hi. When you click on a lead,
Yes.
I noticed that you have an option to notify me when the lead
Lead is
is
active.
viewing or save. I don't have that option on mine.
Okay, so that is part of the lead alert. So let me show you how you guys can do that. So you would go over here. So you can access your profile and your preferences this way. To turn on lead alerts, you're going to want to access it through the administration tab and going to user account. And then you would just click on your account. So what you would do is go all the way down to the CRM settings, and you're going to turn on the lead data. So you would leads alert, and toggle this on and just make sure you save it. Once you do that, you can hit refresh or move to just a different one. You just want to refresh the page, and you will notice that all of a sudden a lead alerts tab is present. If this tab is already present, you don't have to go through obviously all those other steps. Once you're on here, this is where you can get notifications. Okay, so this is where you're seeing that. So this is your alerts that you can turn on and notifications about your lead. So this one here, I suggest that you only have it on select leads, because your options are yes, no, or only on select leads. If you have this on yes, every time one of your leads goes and looks at listings, you're going to get a notification, which ultimately, once you start getting a lot of leads in your system, you're going to start to overlook all those notifications. There's just too many, and so they become pointless, really, at the end of the day. So that's where you do the only on select leads. Once you add this feature, that's where you're going to see that checkbox so that you would select those leads that you want to get notifications when they're active. So that would be for somebody that you're watching. I want to see every time Crystal's online looking at listings, I want to get a notification that she's looking at listings. Now, when they look at a listing 3 or more times, same idea, you can have it on select leads, or you can just turn it to yes. So these two here, I would keep on yes, personally. Again, it depends on how many leads you have in this system and what you can keep up with, or if you want to do it only on select leads, of course. This one, when they like a property, I would just have it on all your leads, because if somebody actually favorites a listing on your website, it's great to get a notification about that, so you can reach out, like whether it's a text or phone call, and like, hey, Crystal, I just noticed that you favorited that listing at 123 Main Street. Was there something about that home that really caught your eye? I would be, I'd be more than happy to get more information, or perhaps refine your search further so that I'm sending you more properties like it. Right, so it just allows you to also engage. This one here, you can't change it. It's stuck. So basically what this one is if you have a lead that's not doing anything, and they haven't looked at listings in 30 days, and then all of a sudden they go back and start looking at listings, then that's where you get a notification that so-and-so has been active 30 days, from being inactive. You can choose how you're going to get notified, whether you want email, SMS, or both email and SMS. And if it's just like everything else, just save it once you're done, and then you're good to go. But the only select leads, that's where you're going to see that on the option. So if I, click Maida here and selected that, that's when I'm going to get notified of her activity. So hopefully that helps you. Lena, you had a question?
Hi, Crystal. I have a few
Hi.
questions, actually. Hi.
You betcha.
So, I was a little bit late for this one. So are we going to get a recording for this webinar?
Always, and it's always on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second one is that I've noticed that, you know how you have the heart at the menu,
Yes.
and you can go in there and watch webinars with Beverly and
Yep.
everything else.
Mhm.
But I'm noticing that the last webinar that was recorded there was back in January 2020.
Yeah, that's a little old and updated. There's other place. That's where I suggest going to YouTube.
So like, where do you want me to go on YouTube? So YouTube.
Agent Locator.
Agent Locator? and
Yeah,
I'll
Agent
just find
Locator
them?
has a channel, and then they have different playlists. You can like upload based on when, it shows you most recent first on there. Like yesterday we did a live dial, so she'll be
Right.
on there as one of the first spots. You can also subscribe to YouTube, so whenever we do upload something, you get a notification about it, which is great. So if we're ever hosting a webinar or just posting any content, which is usually value, we're not just posting garbage on there, something that people would want to see, you would get a notification about it each time. So, but yeah, always kind of use the YouTube as a reference. If you missed the webinar, know 1000% it's going to be on YouTube the next day.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay?
And my question in regards to the CRM is this.
Mhm.
I'm trying right now to clean up my, my leads and everything else, because I want to start using the service that you guys provide for
Mhm.
the home app application.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to clean it up so I can provide the 100 addresses. So here is what I want to be able to do. How do I create a template? So then all I need to do is change the name and basically, just click on it and it just sends out. Do you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
template of an email or follow up. How do
And
I
what are
do
you
that?
trying to do with that template? Like, what's the purpose of the template?
Okay, so I have many clients who basically gave me a bad number.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking to do is to create like a nice, but I'm checking that they're checking their emails.
Mhm.
So what I did is that I created a template, but you can, templates, excuse me. But unfortunately, you cannot just copy and paste it because you can only do that once it's sent through an email. I noticed that. So what I want to do is I want to have a pull-out menu where I can use that one. So let's say I have people who are looking at condos in Vaughan. So I want to create a template for people looking at Vaughan. So every time I send them an emails asking for the number, oh, I've noticed you're looking for properties or something like that. I want to get in touch with you. What is your phone number? What's the best time to reach you? And I just want to pull it and then it clicks and I send it out. So I don't
So
have to
are
copy-
you, so Alina, your leads that are looking at listings where you've got the bad number, are they receiving listings through the legacy system? Or are they receiving the listings through the automated system?
What's the difference between those two? I wouldn't know.
Okay. Okay.
I wouldn't
So
know.
yeah, it's all good. Let me just look at your account here. So really there's the difference is you came on with that one there. Okay. So if they're receiving listings through the automated system, your search is down here.
Yeah, they're receiving all of them like that.
Okay. So first
Sometimes I
step
edit it. Mhm.
would just be marking their phone number as invalid.
Right, with the red, you're right. Mhm.
Okay. Because do you know what that's going to do?
Yeah, because it's going to basically prompt them to be able to give their number and enter the PIN. This
Mhm.
I know.
Yes.
So I
So
want
you-
to retarget them with my own email asking for their number.
Yeah, so you can, so there's two options for you. One is we already have a bad number campaign. Let me see if it's in your system.
Okay.
Nope, it is now. Okay, so if we go into your system, so you can leverage that. So the bad number campaign is in here. If I just start typing bad, I'll find it because I got a lot of test campaigns. There's a bad number campaign. So the bad number campaign is essentially a series of emails, right, that go out 1 minute, 2 days, 5 days, trying to get their number. So it's going to
Okay.
ask them, is this the best number to reach you at? You know, valid phone number needs in the system so we can continue to receive property listings. And then try calling you. You know, I was hoping to have a phone conversation with you regarding the property in Mosu City, price range of, and whatever they looked at.
Do
So
I
they're
put
already
it in?
here for you.
Do I put in the bracket?
No. These are all short code. It's going to change. It's going to auto populate the numbers based on what that person was looking at.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so it's already here. You don't have to recreate the wheel, but if you want to create your own
No, I don't want
personal
to.
email.
Yeah, I don't
You-
want to. I'm going
Okay.
to use those ones. So
Okay,
basically I go to setting. I didn't
that's
know.
okay. Yeah,
Okay,
so you just go to settings and then your campaign. This is where it is. So you'll be able to see the campaign in there now. So if you want to assign that campaign to all
Yes.
the people, so one thing I would do is go and mark their phone numbers as invalid. We want to prompt them to give you a valid communication, right?
Right. Okay.
And then you can either do it on the leads. Okay, so whether you open up or maybe you reach out or it's a bad number, then you go to e-campaigns and then you just start typing bad, select it, assign, okay?
Mhm.
And then it would sign that campaign. You can also do that in a mass action, of course, as well. So let's say you had all your lists, you pulled up everyone where
bad
the
numbers.
phone validity is invalid, let's
Mhm.
say. Then you would apply the actions and go to mass assign campaign. Okay, so, well, hold on, let me apply this. Then you would select the people you would want to send that, or all of them, probably at that point. And then you would just mass assign the campaign. And then you select the campaign again, you go bad number. And then just go done. And then boom, they're all thrown on there for you.
So this campaign will run until they give me the number.
It runs for 15, I think 15 to 20 days.
Until they give me the number.
Unless they give you the number. If they give you the number, they respond to that email, you just have to go into their system and either call and talk to them. Perhaps some people don't want to be contacted, right? Like I've seen messages come through. It says here, like, yes, this is my number, but I don't want to be receiving all these phone calls, things like that, right? So then you have to respect that.
Right.
But just going in and moving a pipeline. So that campaign will stop automatically if you just move the pipeline, okay, now we've made contact with this person.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter that one of them, let's say in Whitby, the other one is
No,
involved.
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No, it's pulling based on their activity in the system, all the data. Yeah. So you don't have to create all these different emails. You just have.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
actually doing it yesterday, believe it or not. I put on
Mhm.
music and I was copy pasting.
Mhm.
And I was like, there must be a way. So here is the way. So I don't want to recreate, but if I wanted to recreate like any
Mhm.
other email, my own
Yes.
email that I wanted to send to them, how would I do that?
If
Any
you wanted to, you just want to
Yeah.
send them an email.
Yeah,
anything?
I want to be able to send an email just to say like hello or something like that. I just want to touch up with you or something personal, but I can send it to everybody.
Oh, so you just want to learn how to create an email template. So you just go
Okay.
here
Okay.
to the email section
Email. Okay.
and then go to email template. And then you create new.
Okay.
So when you create a new one, you would put it into a category. You can also create a category. You give it a title. This title is for your reference only. And then you would give it a subject, of course. And then you have the short codes. The short codes are going to drag and drop. They're autofill. So first name will automatically replace it with the first name of the person you're sending it to.
So with hi, and then I drop this one. The
Yeah,
black
you just
was my
drag and
favorite.
drop. Exactly. So then you can throw in all your information. If you wanted to throw anything like here, it's like, you know, hey, you know, just want to check in. It's been a while. I noticed that you've been checking out listings in most city. That'll be the listing city that they've been looking at the most, and yada, 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 whatever you want to do. So it can look like you're putting together a really personalized email, but you're using short codes. And then you would want to use your agent data. So it'd be likely be your sender, because you're the one sending it anyway, is the signature. So at the end, of course, is throwing in your signature. So you're closing it off and then saving it. You can edit your email signature here. So once you save this as a template,
where do we save it? Sorry, where do we save it?
Well, at the bottom, you would hit save. Okay. Yeah. And then once it's a template, you can click on anyone and click that template. So you can start typing it and just like whatever, and then you click it and then it'll pull that there for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No worries. It helps to speed things up for sure.
It will. Thank you.
I put a couple of questions in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, is this Sherry?
It's Georgiana.
Georgiana. So Georgiana says, can we turn off receiving emails with registrants and unsubscribes? Yeah. So you don't want to receive email notifications from the system, but I would, it might be a more support related question, because in your preferences, so let me just go into the preferences here. Down here, where do they change that? So you have SMS, message alert, email tracking, email notifications, right? So if we turn off email notifications, you might not get the lead alerts if you turn them on. I'm not 1,000% sure on that one there. So you may want to double check, because if you are getting, you just have to make sure you're getting all your alerts if you're doing lead alerts through SMS, not email.
Yeah, I get,
because this, you would just go into your preferences and turn off email notifications.
Okay.
If you don't want the email notifications when a new lead registers or unsubscribes or whatever.
Okay. And is there a way within Agent Locator to find the ones that ask a question? Because they tend to get lost in my email because I get so many Agent Locator emails.
I don't know, to be honest with you. Let me just see here. In your email overview, is sent by the agent itself. No, there's nothing here where it's like, is this, let's just apply.
Because it's great, you can go in and check the communication between a client, but then you totally miss the questions.
Yeah, if they're answering questions, like, are you asking questions in your emails? Is that what it is?
So they're asking a question about something, or they have put the get in touch or wants
the get in touch.
Yeah. So
there might be a way in your inbox to be able to search by that specifically, like whatever one of those titles are called, and then you just use the quotations in Google or whatever provider
And
in the
I've done
search.
that. I've done that. Sometimes it doesn't go in there, but it just would be so much better to have all the communication in Agent Locator so that I don't have to filter between or tag
Yes.
between the two systems.
No, for sure. So that it flags a lead or something, just saying, hey, did you see this? So and so asked a question, right? Because you should get, and I'm wondering if you could possibly do it through the notes filter. Like,
It doesn't show
question.
up. It doesn't show up in their file. When you go to their file, it doesn't show up that they've asked a question or you have to get in touch. It's only in the email. And I find that really frustrating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because usually, well, okay. Just trying to see if there's something in here. Why did it say question? So there's a question right there. Lead for us asked a question about the property, but it doesn't show. Oh, yeah, it's like, can I see this property?
Now, I wonder if that's where maybe it's different because that does not show up in their file when I look at for them. So I wonder if they've asked a question in a different manner.
It could be. It could be. Our support team will help if you have an example of somebody. They usually get if they can't find where that is essentially or what's causing that, then they get our QA team onto it where they start investigating to see what's going on. But it's a valid point that if people are asking questions, we should be able to somehow easily find them in here, right? We're not just be relying on our emails for that information.
So do I just create a ticket on that next time I get asked a question? Okay.
Yeah, just say and explain. And if they say Crystal knows what I'm talking about, so if you need clarification, ask her. I'll tell them. I'll fill them in on what it is. Yeah. And was that the only question? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. And then Sherry just had her the alert setting. So Sherry is just right here and go to user accounts. If you don't see the administration here with user accounts, then you're not an admin. Okay, so I'm not looking who owns accounts or anything right now. But if you can't see this, it means that you're not an admin. Admins only would have access to this, or an account holder would. So once you have, let's see if I can use this one here. So you can see here that I don't have anything set up. You don't see lead alerts here at all. So I go to CRM settings and just turn on lead alerts, yes, and go save. So once I've done that, you'll see this CRM settings successfully updated. Hit refresh, and then the lead alerts will appear for you. Okay. Okay. So then, did you see that? Then you should have been able to watch. So you should be able to just go CRM, turn it on, hit refresh, and you will see the lead alerts option. Depending on when you started, for some of you, I know, some of you guys have been with us for a while, some of you not as long. The newer ones, we are doing our best to try to set you guys up to already have lead alerts turned on, where this one is on selected leads and these ones are turned to yes. There's definitely got to be some that may have been missed. So Sherry, you are not on a team. Let me just do something on my other screen. Oh, Sherry. Now, this will only work on the, there you go, the automated system, which you are on the automated system, so perfect. And let me just, I'm logging into your system on my other screen. User account, there you are. And your lead alerts is there, it's on. So it is on. What do you want your settings? Here, I can bring it over. It's not showing anything personal. What do you want your settings to be? Do you want them to be 4 hours? This one I would do only select leads. You can talk, Sherry. You just have to unmute yourself. If you have that. So I would do this only on select leads and then sleep the other ones. Oh, are you able to talk? Does your mic work? Can't hear you, Endo. So your lead alerts are already present. You didn't really need to do anything. Only when viewed 3 times or after 30. Yeah. Did you want this one on select leads? You don't, I would still get them alert when they like a property though as well. And this one's defaulted as that. Is that good for you, these settings here? No, we can't hear you. Not sure what's going on. Okay, I will save these settings. You can go in and change them. You should be able to see, like I said, you might have to refresh your screen. Sometimes log in or go out, go back into that area. It could be cached where you can't see it, which is super frustrating. There's a lot of different reasons why one may have done that to you. But you still can't see the lead alert in your preferences. That's weird. Huh. Sometimes it might be delayed. Maybe it's in there now. I hope you can see it. If you can't see it, it's there. It's there. It's on. Like I said, it could be cached. We often do things in incognito window. So you can see here when I'm doing my training, it's in an incognito window. That way nothing gets cached because it would be a nightmare if everything was getting cached. So I'll be 100% honest with you. So we do a lot of things in there. Yeah, only account and stat 2 tab. Yeah, that's it. So you go to user accounts, but you should see your name in your list. And then you click on your name. And then it opens up your user preferences. So that is about it for the session this evening. Does anyone have any additional questions before you go? Good, Jerry, I'm glad you got it.
I have some questions. You
Sure.
mentioned this is the 3rd session, right? So
Yes.
what was the second about? Because I don't think there was an evening session for the second one.
No, the second one, there was not an evening session. There was only the afternoon session on the last one. So the last one was about creating email templates and SMS templates and how to go about doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you can find. Did you would have got an email the following day. Sorry, we missed you, or whatever it may have been from Zoom. If you had previously registered, you would have received that email. If not, let me just find on YouTube here and trying to find it. Go back. Let me just see my playlist here. Oh, so I'm trying to get this playlist to share it to you. That weirded me out for a second. View full playlist. All right, there we go. I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys. So this is the playlist for the leveraging. There was leveraging last year, what have you. So it's going to be in the chat for all of you guys. This is the YouTube channel. This is where all the leveraging will go. So last week's is on there from the December 9th. So if you do want to watch that, Brana actually held that one for me. I wasn't able to hold it. So that one is in there. She did talk about campaigns as well. I don't know how it went from one to another, but she got definitely a lot of questions thrown at her when it came to that webinar. But the templates are pretty straightforward once you start making them. They are, as you can see, they do definitely help for being able to just simply select and send something, whether you're doing it on an individual basis or doing it in a mass format. Yeah. Hopefully that helps you. Any additional questions I can answer before we go here?
So I can call using, Twilio directly
Okay.
from,
Okay.
and I've upgraded my account, after we spoke last time.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I can't seem to call.
You can't. And what's it saying? Is it saying? Is it saying something?
No, nothing. So I don't know whether there's a glitch in the system.
So you're not getting
or-
like any kind of like it's not connecting, but it's not giving you like some sort of weird message.
No, nothing.
But you can text. So the texts are delivering.
I'm not sure about the text, but the emails are working for sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I use my phone to text them,
Mm-hmm.
right? But so does
We
something need
would.
to be activated? And the other question is like, what is the cost like for calling them?
For Twilio calls, it's 0.013 cents per minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so just over 1 cent. If it's less than a cent, if they're calling you, it's under a penny.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's if the call connects, right? So if it just rings, you're not paying for that.
Is there any way you can try something on my account and see?
Yeah, let me just see. I'm gonna go into your account here. I'm just gonna call on my other stuff. Did I create myself as a lead? All right, I'm just gonna call this number here. Working on my end.
It's working?
Yeah. I just called the agent locator test lead and hit the agent locator recording. So it is working.
Okay.
It could be your audio. So make sure your audio with computers can be super frustrating when you're using all different applications. So just make sure that everything is using the correct speakers and microphones. If you have different things, because I have different programs, or sometimes if my computer restarts, I can't hear anyone on Skype, and I have to reconfigure everything, and the CRM, like it's a nightmare sometimes.
Right.
So just make sure all your audio settings are pointing to the correct device. Yeah, that could be, that could ultimately be what the problem is that it is not working. That because it's trying to use the other, you can't hear it, right? The support could help you possibly with that and troubleshooting that. They might have an article that they can send you of where to look on your computer to adjust your sound settings.
Let me try it again. Then if it doesn't work, then I'll contact somebody.
Perfect. Sounds great. All righty. Well, I appreciate all of you for joining us this evening. We will be here next week. I don't know what the class size is going to look like then, just with the timing and everything, but we will see. I know it's crunch time for many, but there will be a recording. If there's no one in here at 7, I'm not going to, run through a webinar as if I'm talking to air, but obviously I imagine there will be 1 or 2 at least in here, maybe more. So hope to see you all then. If not, you can always hit the earlier session. But again, everything's recorded and you will receive the email the following day, the thank you for attending or sorry we missed you. And of course, as I showed you, it will be on that playlist as well on YouTube. Perfect. And I don't know, I sent that YouTube playlist, but I apparently sent it to hosts and panelists for some reason. So there you go. So I'll give you all a few moments. If you want to just click on that in the chat, you'll be able to open that playlist up and see where it is. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We will see you all again, hopefully next week. If not, have a Merry Christmas or holiday, depending on how you're celebrating. And we will see you probably in the new year then. But thanks everyone. If you have any questions outside of this, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to assist you or point you in the direction of your trainer.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Bye guys.